Hello everyone, my name is Katie, I'm the Introverted Reader, and this video is a video that I meant to get up sooner, and I filmed one, uploaded it, but there was something wrong with the sound, so we just deleted that video and we're just gonna do it again today. So this is a video for my wrap up for the Introverted Reader Readathon that we had for those just last like 2 weeks of August there, and I'm so proud of myself. I managed to complete all of the challenges. I'm so proud of myself, and I do definitely want to do more readathons in the future. There's a lot of readathons that happen around BookTube all year round, so I might try and take part in some of those maybe in the next few months or next year, I don't know. Anyway, so I managed to complete all of the challenges, and I'll just go through all the books that I read for you right now. I'm looking down at my bullet journal list, so if you see me doing that, that's what I'm doing. Anyway, the first challenge was to read a book that has been unread for way too long, and that for me was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. Can you see it? Yes, you can. Oh my goodness, this book was absolutely fantastic. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It is based on Western African mythology. It's about this girl who, her mother was murdered basically for having magic, and magic has basically been eradicated in their entire community. And because she resembles her mother, like all those that were like children of those that did magic, even if those children don't have magic, they still like have the white hair or still have the like darker skin than everyone else and all this stuff. I mean, obviously everyone has dark skin, but like one of the traits is that hers is that bit darker than everyone else's. So she kind of sticks out, and she really wants to make something of herself, but you know, she's not really sure how. And like this whole book is just about magic and badass female characters, and you know, just like families and communities just coming together and wanting to do something for the greater good, you know, for them, you know, so that they can just live their lives peacefully. And yeah, I absolutely adored this, and I cannot wait for the sequel. I know the sequel is coming. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I adored this. 5 out of 5 stars. The second challenge was to read a classic that you originally did not like, and for me, that was Dracula. If you recall, when I did my TBR for this readathon, I mentioned I was going to reread Dracula because I read it previous and I didn't overly like it, but for some reason there was something in me that was like, give the Count another chance. And I tried. Like, I got it on my Kindle and I started reading it, but to be honest, I just couldn't do it. It just got it was just so boring. Like, for a book that's supposed to be about a monster, we barely got anything of the monster. Like, maybe in the first couple chapters he was there for a while and then he disappears, he goes away somewhere, and I'm just like, no, where are you going? Come back. You're supposed to be here. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? And it was just so boring, so I just gave up. And I instead read The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'd read this a good couple of years ago. I think in 2016 I originally read this. Wasn't that long ago. But I originally read it back in 2016. Didn't overly like it. Didn't think it was that great. And I know this is like a children's classic. I know this is like everyone's favourite childhood book. If you're not familiar, this is the story of Bilbo Baggins, who is a character that we do see in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. He is Frodo's uncle, and basically this is like a prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So in this one we follow Bilbo and Gandalf, and they team up with these dwarves whose home has basically been destroyed and taken over by this dragon, and they're basically going on this tremendous journey to help save the dwarves' home. Basically, that's pretty much the gist of the story, and it's magical, it's whimsical, but again, I still feel the same way about this as I did when I read it the first time. It was okay. Maybe if I had read this when I was maybe 10 or 11 years old like everyone else, I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But I mean, I definitely enjoyed it more than Dracula, I'll tell you what. You know, I mean, this had a lot more going on for it than Dracula ever did. So So yeah, I ended up giving The Hobbit 3 out of 5 stars, which was the original rating I think I gave it in the first place. So the next challenge was to read a graphic novel or a manga or a comic book, or hell, you could have read a picture book and I still would have counted it. But I read a manga, and that manga was Death Note volumes 1 and 2. Like, I finished volume 1, and because I have the bind up black edition here, I was just like, do you know what, let me just carry on and read the second volume just to get out of the way. I had seen the anime for this like ages ago, and it's one of my favorite animes of all time. It's wonderful. It's so dark and it's so twisted, and there's so many little there were so many times where I would be sitting there like jaw literally breaking off me and falling on the floor. I was like, huh? What? Like, so basically, if you're not familiar with anime or with Death Note, this is basically a story about a student called Light Yagami, and he is a straight A student. He has everything going for him. He's really smart, he's really handsome, he can do whatever he wants in his life, but he's really, really bored. Like, he doesn't really see, he's not really like passionate about anything. He doesn't really have a lust for life, even though life for him is going really well. And one day he finds this mysterious notebook, this Death Note, and he sort of picks it up and he's like, what is this? And just takes it home. He probably thinks this is just a plain empty notebook that someone has dropped. I'll keep it and maybe see if I can give it back to them or keep it for myself or whatever. And he takes it home, and this death god, this, what's the name for them? Shinigami, shows up in his bedroom and basically says, that is my Death Note, and you are the keeper of it now. And what that means is that if you write a person's name into that notebook, that person will die. You can, and there's so many like little like specific rules that you have to follow. Like, I remember reading this and seeing like specific rules about how you're supposed to like keep the notebook and what you're specifically supposed to write, what you have to have in your head when you're writing it. Like, it's a lot, and it's definitely as dark and twisted as the anime is. And if you're into stuff like this that is dark and twisted with like no even like any comedic relief or anything like that, like, it's not funny. It's not funny, it's not fluffy, it's dark, it's angsty, it's twisted, so, and it's gory as well, so be wary of that. But yeah, and also I will give a trigger warning in this for suicide as well. Just if you are triggered by anything to do with that, then be wary when you're picking this up. But in the end, I gave both of the volumes 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed them. Where did we get to? Challenge number 4. Reread an old favourite just because you can. And for me, I reread Noah Can't Even by Simon James Green. Oh my goodness. If you've been on my channel long enough, you've probably had just about enough of me talking about this book. But if you're new here, hi. This is a story about a boy called Noah who is a social outcast, and one day this popular girl in his school invites him to a house party, and at this house party he ends up kissing his best friend, who happens to be a boy. And his friend basically comes out to him and says, look, I am gay and I have feelings for you. And it's basically just Noah sort of trying to accept that his best friend is the way that he is. I mean, not that it's that big of a deal, but I guess it's just sort of him sort of coming to terms with it and learning to be okay with it, and also coming to terms with who he is as a person as well. So it's a really soft and heartwarming story, but at the same time, this book is absolutely hilarious. Like, if you need a good laugh, then pick up one of Simon's books. Trust me, you will not get bored and you'll be laughing all the way through. I give Noah 5 out of 5, as you would expect, because it's one of my faves. So the next challenge is to read a book with my least favourite colour on the cover. And for that I actually listened to the audiobook of Slated by Terry. The concept for this book really, really intrigued me. It's basically a story about a girl who gets this medical procedure done to erase certain memories. She is told that she committed a horrendous crime, and she went through this operation called slating, and she sort of wakes up and she doesn't remember anything. She doesn't really remember her own real name. They just call her Kyla, and she just assumes that that's her real name, and she gets put with this family, and she's basically told that this is your mom, this is your dad, this is your sister, you're going to live in this house, you're going to go to this school, and you're going to be a good girl, and you're going to go to school and just, you know, be good and not get yourself into any trouble. The concept behind this story I was really intrigued by. The execution, not so much. I didn't feel like anything really happened, and we never got to find out what it was that Kayla did to deserve being slated. Like, she has these moments where she remembers certain things, but it was all just like flashes of memory, like her running across the beach, and this weird segment where she imagines someone building a literal wall around her. It was weird. To be honest, I wasn't overly a big fan of the story really in general, mostly just because it was just, again, like I said, not much happened. I was bored, and the main character, you know, Kyla herself, really did kind of get on my nerves. You know, so all in all, I think I would probably give this 3 stars or maybe 2.5. Because like I said, I enjoyed the concept of the book, but the execution not so much. And this is like a 400 plus page book, and we barely got anything. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. If you've read this book or the rest of the trilogy, let me know, and let me know if the story gets better or like if things happen or whatever. Like, just let me know if you've read it and what you thought, and if it's worth carrying on. The next challenge was to read a book with an animal on the cover, or have an animal be like a character within the story. And for that, I chose Dreamwalker. It's better on the side. Dreamwalker by J.D. Oswald. I basically just picked this book because, one, there is a dragon on the cover, and also there is a dragon within the story. It's a high fantasy story about these 2 main characters, a dragon called Benfro and a boy called Errol, and it's basically like them just living their lives and going on their journeys. And Errol really wants to go to this prestigious school, and he just really wants to be like a warrior priest. There's like these warrior priests that sort of like keep the peace in the world, and he wants to join them, be one of them. Then he finds out it's not all it's cracked up to be. And also our character Benfro, who is a young dragon, and his mother is a really, really skilled healer, and he's learning all he can from her, but he wants to learn like real magic. And I will say this story, it was nice, it was cute, but to be honest, again, I didn't like, the plot was kind of dry for me. I really liked the characters. It felt like more of a character driven story than anything else, but plot for me, kind of dry. All in all, I gave this 3 stars. If you've read this or the rest of the series, let me know. I'm just getting through these really quickly. I'm sorry I'm not giving much of a synopsis, but the very last book was to read a book with diversity, be that LGBTQ, a person of color, or anything like that. This challenge, I think, probably would have been covered by Children of Blood and Bone or Death Note, but for me, I listened to the audiobook of Jack of Hearts by L.C. Rawson, and I really enjoyed this. Okay, so Jack is basically a character who is openly gay. He wears feminine clothes, and he wears makeup, and then one day he starts receiving these anonymous notes from this really strange person. Like, they get a little, they're flirtatious in the beginning, saying, oh, you look really cute today, like, I love what you're wearing and all this stuff, and then they start to get a little bit creepy, and it's basically just a story of him trying to figure out who this person is and why they are doing what they're doing. So yeah, I enjoyed this as well. I thought it was really fun. It wasn't the most groundbreaking LGBTQ book I've ever read, but it was still a good time. I still enjoyed myself. All in all, give Jack 3 stars. So those are all the books that I read for the Introverted Reader Readathon. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please follow me on Twitter. Please follow me on Instagram. They will be down below. Please subscribe if you're new. I would really appreciate that. And leave a comment letting me know how well you did in this readathon, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.